Your skills with the selection tools can make or break your final image. In a composition, a bad selection looks contrived and is distracting. A good selection should hardly be noticed at all. In this chapter, you'll find out how you can use masks to give you the opportunity to edit your selection at any time. In this lesson, you find out how to take advantage of the pen tool to create really clean vector selections. You'll see that I've got this little boy image open. It's called boy_guitar, and it is in your Chapter 04 folder. And this might be a really difficult selection to make with any other tool other than the pen tool, especially if you want a really precise selection. I'm holding down my spacebar and my control key and zooming in. You want to be in really close when you're using the pen tool. Now watch how easy this is. I click on my first point and click and drag. Now when I'm using these directional lines, I'm following the shape of what I'm creating. I can't tell you how many people I see go like this, up, down, over, Just follow the shape in which you're creating with those directional lines. Notice it's just smoothly going along the side. All right, now all of a sudden, I need to go another direction. I can do one of two things. I'm still dragging this. While I am dragging this, I can hold down the Alt or Option key and swing this back in the direction that I want. So I'm following this path along. Here I get a little bit of a curve, following the path. Got a little bit of the boy's jacket showing through here. It's amazing how many details you see once you get up close. But again, notice that as I am doing this, now I might need to change direction here. We'll see if this works. Nope, we're fine. As long as I'm smoothly following, I'm in good shape. Now notice my directional line is crossing into the strap of the guitar. Again, I'm going to hold down my Alt or Option key and swing the directional line up just a little bit. I can hold down my Control key to give me my direct selection tool temporarily, reposition this, and then I can just continue on following that path. Now as I get up into this area of the jacket, again, it's not all that difficult to follow shapes. In fact, this is pretty easy because it's just kind of bumpy along here. Got the fur here, that's always fun, but this is really kind of compacted fur, so we don't have to worry about creating a really bad mask of fur, which you probably wouldn't want to do with the pen tool. Following around the hat. So practice with this. When you get across to the top, you can even click and then hold down your Shift key and go all the way across to the other side. By holding the Shift key down, when you use the pen tool, you are forcing it to be a straight line. And I'm just going to complete this real quickly. We'll go around. Now I'm holding the Control key to move this point back down. The Control, again, gives you the ability to switch to your direct selection tool as you are working so that you don't have to take your tool, your pen tool, and make it inactive and then come back to it when you're done. So as you're moving along, you can edit by holding down the Control key. It gives you your direct selection tool, and then when you want to use the change corner or change a curve to a corner or a corner to a curve, you can hold down your Alt or Option key. Now at this point I'm going a little bit faster just because I want to get through to the end just to show you some helpful tricks. I am going around, around. So I'm just going to go right around here and close up this guy. Boop. Because I just want a closed path at this point. When you get around to the bottom, you can hold down your Shift key, go across the bottom, and then I'll just complete this. We'll make this okay. Right up here. So, what makes this so special and how do I use this? Couple things. One is that I could leave this path as is, and if I took this image into InDesign, InDesign would recognize this path, and I could use it as a clipping path. I could use it also as a path in which text could run around. What I can also do with this, I can go to the Layers panel, pull this up. What I can also do with this is use this as a vector mask. Now, notice I have a background layer. I'm holding down my Alt or Option key, double-clicking on the word background. I can click on the Add Layer Mask button, and absolutely nothing happens. But then if I click again, you'll see Add Vector Mask. A mask is created from my pen path, and the transparency is built on my path. So we were talking about great ways to remove a background. You've got this pen tool down. This is a great way. Pen tool, and with your precision controls, you've got a great selection. Now, the other really cool thing about using the pen tool for making selections and also for eliminating backgrounds is that when I created this vector mask, I also created a pixel mask. So if you've ever had a situation where you needed to make a silhouette of somebody and also fade it out, you've got this extra channel that you can take advantage of. So if I click on this middle channel, you'll see that it's active. I can take my gradient tool and click and drag, or click and drag up. And you'll notice I'm clicking and dragging in the direction that I want my image to fade. Wherever it's black, it's covering up my image. Wherever it's white, it's allowing it to show through. Now, if I don't want to see my pen path, I can just click on that vector mask once and it disappears, but yet my image is totally intact. I can go back at any time. I can click on this mask. I can click on my direct selection tool, and I can say, you know what? I should probably clean this up a little bit. Let me take my pen tool. Wherever I cross where there's not a point, I can click on my path and add a point. Wherever there is a point that I don't want, I can click on it with my pen tool to make it delete. So I'm going back in. I'm going to activate this path. I am going to click and drag this in, click and drag this point in, adjust this. I do have a little extra point there. I'll just click on it and delete it. But notice that I am able to edit my path at any point. Somebody comes back to me later and says, boy, that thumb looks awfully pointy. Well, I can fix that with my pen path. And at any point, I can also say, well, maybe we shouldn't be using that vector path. And I can shift-click right on the vector mask or shift-click on the pixel mask. And now we're back to our original document. Now, let's say I'm using PowerPoint or something and I want to eliminate the background. Using the mask won't help me a whole lot, but the path will. You have a path panel, and if I grab this guy by the tab and pull it out so you can see it a little better, you'll see that I have a work path, and I also have the vector mask path. That's pretty much the same thing. This is the path that's associated with my layer. I only want the work path. When you create a path, you always create a work path. I'm going to save this work path because I want to use this when I save the document. So I can click and drag it down to the little dog-eared document, and it automatically saves itself as path 1. Once I have a saved path, I can choose from the path panel menu that I want this to be a clipping path. I can choose at this point which path I want to be my clipping path. By indicating I want path 1 to be my clipping path, it's essentially saying I don't want to see anything beyond what's inside this path. Leave flatness blank so that your printer can determine the best flatness for your image, and click OK. Now, if I really only want to use that little boy in the image and nothing else in the background, and I'm going into another application, like I said, InDesign will recognize your paths, whether they're clipping paths or not, so will Illustrator. But if you want to bring them in automatically, silhouette it in your other applications, including PowerPoint or Word or any other application that you want to drop images into, you need to save this as an EPS or PNG to support the transparency. And once you choose that you want this to be an EPS or PNG, then you're good to go. You can drop this image in and you'll just have the small boy without the background. Okay, I'm going to cancel this. I'm not actually going to save this, and I am going to make some of your lives much easier. I'm pressing F12 to revert to save. And I am choosing the pen tool, but I'm also choosing up in the control panel the freeform pen tool and checking magnetic. Coming down to my image, this is a time when you want to put your caps lock key on. This represents the diameter, much like you saw with the quick selection tool, of where my item is going to be selected. If I click once and I start dragging, a pen path is automatically being created and anchor points are being dropped. Now, if it accidentally grabs onto something you don't want, you can back up and hit the delete key, and you can even force an anchor point where you want. So it's having a little bit of a problem with this houndstooth, so I might have to click a couple times here, just kind of forcing it to go around. But notice that as I click and drag, these anchor points are automatically being dropped. Some of you might use the magnetic selection tools. The only problem I have with them is that when you're all done, all you have left is a selection. Whereas if I come in here, and I'll just close this by double clicking right now, if I come in here and use the magnetic pen tool, I can go to my direct selection tool and I can make editing changes to all these anchor points, thereby giving me a little bit more control. So have fun with the pen tool, really practice with it. You can create some really nice precise selections and take advantage of those vector masks. They're great.